Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 268. We had a very choppy week this week, but the upcoming one could be pretty nice as we have some economic news releases incoming, so buckle up and let's jump into the analysis. Quickly having a look at the economic calendar, so we can see that we're having the rate statement for the Aussie, and the Australian dollar has been extremely choppy the last couple of weeks. So hopefully this one is going to shake it out a little bit, although it is expected for an interest rate to be kept the same. If it's changed, that could potentially impact the market. And then on Wednesday, we're having the US CPI, so a very important news release that is definitely going to shake the market together with the Canadian interest rates. And then on Thursday, also a pretty big day. We're having a lot of news, Swiss franc monetary policy, we're having the euro monetary policy, and then we're having PPI here and unemployment claims for the US dollar, press conference for the euro, and then on Friday we just ended with a quick British pound GDP. We're very likely going to be having the Fed's interest rate next week, probably 17th and 18th. So they usually go like first NFP, then CPI, and then interest rates. That is the very big determinant, of course, of what the dollar is going to do next. But yeah, overall right now, we are already trading in December. The volume has significantly lowered. So again, this week and even the next week, just keep it tight, like don't go big, be more conservative. And then pretty much as we get closer towards the end of next week, it is 2 weeks of holidays, so trading is gonna come to a halt. So let's jump into the technicals right now and see what we can have for next week. Just real quick, make sure to join my free school community. We're having an amazing community here, sharing a lot of value, but not to say that the classroom is a full course, and this is going to be better than a lot of the courses that you have paid for, so make sure to join. It's the first link in the description. All right, getting started with the dollar, let's not forget what we did pretty much last month. We collected this very massive monthly liquidity. So right now we can potentially expect for the market to maybe give us a little bit of a pullback. And you can see the first week of the month didn't do much. It's still kind of a small candle. We haven't expanded anywhere. Now we know that just below us, we have that monthly imbalance. Is the market going to go all the way there? Well, of course, we have to see that by looking at the lower time frames and if they're actually going to start turning bearish. Currently, we're still responding from that weekly bullish imbalance. Again, you can see the previous week we tapped in, extremely bearish. And then this week consolidated still inside that zone. So pretty much I believe next week is going to be the determinant whether this weekly imbalance is going to hold and push price higher, or is the market actually going to, of course, start coming back into the range. All right. Because that's what usually, again, the dollar has been doing, right? So we kind of break out, took liquidity back into the range, consolidate, took liquidity again, took liquidity on the upside, back into the range. Like it's designed to pretty much consolidate, especially in the current conditions. So I'm not really, again, expecting a very massive blowout up here, so a very massive pump. Although, again, I keep remaining bearish until, of course, proven otherwise. Just below that weekly imbalance, we also have another one below that the market could potentially respond from. So then we drop onto the daily time frame, which is the time frame that is currently supposed to start giving us a little bit more information, but it does not. So it was an extremely choppy week, like starting from Thursday last week, we just chopped a lot. We stayed inside this daily imbalance throughout the whole week. So we were tapping into that weekly bullish, but then we had a daily bearish. Then we have 1, 2, 3 days pretty much kind of rejecting from that daily imbalance. And then on Thursday was the only day this week that we actually did something, and we came in to attack this liquidity, which we have taken right now. We're not making a new daily bearish imbalance, which to me is a sign that sellers are not fully in control right now. And it leaves us in a place where, again, I just cannot say anything. I'm not bullish because I'm not seeing the buyers. I'm also not bearish because I'm also not seeing the sellers too much. Like if we had a daily bearish imbalance here formed on Friday, maybe Friday's candle closed very strongly below that low, then I would have been more bearish. But right now, to me, NFP here just took the liquidity and we've massively kind of spiked and retraced back up into the range. And currently, again, guys, if you just look at this hourly price action here, it is a consolidation. There is no trend, there is no direction. I haven't taken a single Forex trade this week. We just chopped the whole week. So currently, again, just honestly, I don't know what to say. And as traders, of course, sometimes you just have to admit that you don't know what's happening, and that's perfectly fine. It's not your fault. The market is just choppy. You don't need to have a bias every single day, every single week. So Currently, I'm just waiting for something to happen either on the daily or on the volatile time frame. Hopefully CPI is going to give a little bit of a shakeout. You can see we're forming no imbalances whatsoever. There is no momentum into the market. Like, it was extreme chop, then sure we went lower, okay cool, but right now we're back into the range, and this to me signifies that we're not really continuing lower, we're not really committing to the downside, but right now back into the range. And if we start forming bullish order flow, you can start of course targeting the opposite side of the range, because that is exactly what is happening also on the monthly time frame. The market consolidates, takes out a low, back into the range, takes out the high, back into the range. So I would still remain again a little bit more bullish, but the only thing that I want to see right now is the volatile time frame to start trending higher in order for me to target this liquidity. And of course, the other thing that could happen is for us to start trading higher and then to target that imbalance. So those are my kind of two situations, but I do not have a clear bias getting into next week. So once again, we gotta wait. What's very nice on EURUSD is that we actually tapped into that weekly bearish imbalance this week, and we can see that it's an overall indecisive candle. It's actually looking pretty good for the market to roll down next week. And you know, we have the interest rate for the euro next week, so that could definitely be very interesting. So tapping into that weekly imbalance actually on Friday. This weekly imbalance was a nice target, so I pretty much, after Thursday formed, I told my community, like, if we can get any longs into that weekly imbalance, that would be nice. But it was also NFP day, so we didn't really engage. What I also like is that we tapped into that weekly and we did not form a new daily bullish imbalance to signify bullish momentum. And pretty much right now we kind of have this a little bit of a trend line liquidity here. It's not impulsing higher. It's not like showing me a lot of bullishness. And right now the volatile time frame again tapped in, reacted very nicely. We're having an extremely tiny, very tiny, I can't even draw it, right? Volatile bearish imbalance. Also, you can very quickly here pair this one with a breakout structure as well. That is looking pretty good. So in order for me to start taking shorts on that one, once again, I need to see the conviction. So I need to see the market, all right, tap in here, push lower, break structure again with the new imbalance, retest, and only then I'm gonna start shorting. So for example, the only short I'm gonna take is if the market gets down there, break structure with the new imbalance, clearly showing me the bias, and then of course I'm gonna start trading it short. Of course, then you can tackle all the targets one by one, like there's lows are first, then this low, and then eventually all the way down here. But again, take it step by step. So we're tapping again into that weekly imbalance. The volatile time frame is starting to change a little bit, but I need to see it follow through. I need to see it form a lower low, lower high, and then short this lower high into the liquidity. So that is my bias on EURUSD. And if of course the DXY actually starts pushing higher right now after this liquidity grab, also sitting inside that weekly imbalance, I think it will be very nice. So let's see, bearish bias on EU. Well, GU has been sitting inside that weekly imbalance right now for a second week. There is the first week coming in, the second week right now is rejecting. So again, the question is it gonna roll over down right now, or is it going to start popping higher? Usually again, the daily time frame can give us some answers, but what you can see here is on the way up. So we actually had this daily bullish imbalance that actually ended up holding at the end of the day. We tapped the weekly, but then the market had to battle with the daily, and that daily never failed, and it actually ended up holding. Right now we're back into the weekly, sweeping the previous weekly high. Currently you can see we're actually closing below it right now on the weekly time frame. And we're not really getting any daily bullish imbalances on the way up, which means that this bullish push here is technically weak, according to how I look at the markets. Right now, of course, we can drop the volatile time frame. Kind of reminds me of EU a little bit. It's a little bit more bullish. So if I'm looking to short a pair, it would definitely be EU, because euro currently as a currency, it's a lot weaker than the pound, even if you look at interest rate differentials. But a very similar story here as well. Like similar to EU, if it taps, if it starts making bearish order flow, then I would absolutely short it. Of course, the opposite side is also true. If it like fails and starts making bullish order flow, I would also long it. I do like the shorts here. I really do like also this kind of trend line liquidity here, that all of that could get collected. This bullish move here is not strong. It's not a committed move, right? Even you can see it from the daily. There are no imbalances. There are no like clear areas to continue higher from. So once again, similar to EU, we'll be looking at how this very recent volatile imbalance responds. Maybe it could also come to sweep the previous weekly high and then still give bearish order flow. So yeah, the overall message is that I'm bearish on EU and GU, but the only thing that I want to see right now is simply the market to start making a trend. I don't want to catch the top right there. I want to catch when the trend is actually established. So let's see if that happens. Well, Aussie dollar is finally kind of exiting the range. We had 2 extremely choppy weeks, and right now the market looks like it wants to roll down, targeting this weekly low as potential liquidity. On the daily time frame, not the best. Like you can see, we didn't form, like, again, any daily bearish imbalances. But we had a flush on Wednesday, Thursday consolidated, and then Friday on NFP ended up rolling down as well. But it was just an extremely messy price action here. I just said, like, I haven't touched Aussie dollar for a very long time, right? Yeah, pretty much since that consolidation started down there. But currently, again, like, we had that push. Oops, changed the pair. We had that push. We had that pullback here. But again, even within the pullback, we just started massively chopping here. So Wednesday into Thursday, massive chop. And then pretty much Friday, just on NFP, just send it down. Okay. Currently, the only thing that we can work with is that hourly bearish imbalance. We're also breaking that structure very strongly. That kind of can turn into like an order block, if you like to call it. There is, for example, 2 resistance areas right now. If we pull back into that zone and if we do get some sort of shorts, I think that is a nice idea. The thing that I don't like is that we are taking a lot of liquidity already. So we have taken, for example, the previous weekly low. We've taken all of these daily lows. But what I really do like, by the way, is how Friday closed. It didn't close as a rejection. So for example, look at this. Imagine that this here was Friday, the current price action. If Friday closed like this right now, I would expect some sort of a pullback or maybe to seek the opposite side. But Friday right now closed with a very nice body break below that swing low. So I would expect even a little bit of a continuation towards that liquidity. So Aussie dollar also giving me a little bit of a bearish bias. Let's see if this kind of setup is going to work out. Keep in mind we're having the Aussie interest rate incoming, so the market could consolidate until that news release. So again, be mindful of that. But overall also bearish bias on Aussie dollar. NZUSD, as usual, very similar to the Aussie dollar. However, this one has already taken that liquidity a very long time ago, already made a pullback, and currently it could be targeting potentially that previous weekly low, right? Because currently there is the current week, it's actually an inside bar of the previous week. So right now we are straight headed potentially for the liquidity. An extreme consolidation once again here. Nothing much has happened. If you drop it to the hourly time frame, maybe you can see some sort of trends here, like you can see lower highs and lower lows forming, definitely. But you try to short it here, stop loss, you try to short it here, stop loss again. Then it kind of shifts internally just before NFP, which actually gave us again a little bit of a short here. Hourly bearish imbalance, not the best one. I don't like these tiny imbalances, but a very similar setup to AU. Again, nothing much to say. That looks like a setup aligning with this order block here as well, targeting that previous weekly low as liquidity. So there's a setup. That's it. If we continue with that bearish order flow, if the DXY also picks some bullish steam, I think we can have some short opportunities even early this week on, for example, Aussie dollar and NZD dollar. Gold is getting really messed up right now. It's probably preparing for some sort of a move. Now we're stuck between, again, that monthly bullish imbalance, yet the market came in and tapped that weekly bearish imbalance. The market reacted very nicely off of it, still tapping into the monthly. And then, of course, as we start transferring onto the daily as well, the daily had all of these bullish, but then all of a sudden it also had that bearish. So you can see right now how the market is stuck between all sorts of levels, right? Monthly bullish, weekly bearish, daily bullish. And then if I drop to the hourly time frame, the hourly time frame is just crazy. Okay, so I literally have nothing to say on gold. The only thing I can actually remove all of these zones right now. The only thing I'm looking for is for a daily pop. I'm looking for a daily breakout, either a very strong daily candle to close below here or a very strong daily candle to close below above here, and to give me some follow throughs right now. Because you can see it's been how many days? We've been having 8 consecutive days of just doing absolutely nothing on the daily. And when the market starts doing this, you just don't get any setups. Like even if you drop to the hourly time frame, if you try to trade, like you're having a very big consolidation even on the hourly time frame here. If you drop to the hourly, it's even worse. So hopefully you guys are not losing money on gold in these conditions, because it's just not tradable. Not tradable, but I know a lot of traders like to make very big calls on gold that it's gonna dump or pump. Let's just wait. I have absolutely nothing to say about gold. I'm not bullish, I'm not bearish. I'm just looking for a breakout to show me where it wants to go. And then I'm of course gonna evaluate and see what I can do next. Absolutely nothing. Just 8 days of a complete chop. I'm looking for a shakeout, and only then I will touch gold. And I would friendly advise you to also do the same and not throw your capital on these choppy markets. USD JPY is just about to get interesting because once again we're having one of these very big supply and demand sandwiches. We're having a monthly bullish, and then this week just formed a weekly bearish, and then it dropped to the daily time frame and the 40 time frame, and it's going to be something completely different. So you can see currently where the price is. It's exactly stuck between monthly and weekly. Now usually again the monthly is holding a little bit more importance, but we really need to see the weekly fail first before we confirm the monthly. And then we go to the daily time frame. It absolutely did nothing this week. So from Monday until Friday, absolutely nothing. So yeah, it doesn't even make sense for me right now to go to the 40 time frame because the 40 time frame is also not doing anything. Like it tapped once into the monthly, 2 times into the monthly, reacted a little bit bullish here, but then it just started consolidating from pretty much after Wednesday. We just chopped all the way until the end of the week. So currently, absolutely nothing you can do, right? Nothing. You can't go long, you can't go short. There are no setups, there are no zones. So the only thing that you can do right now is simply wait. Basically what I need to see is for the market to, the bullish scenario will be for the market to pop into the weekly, react, and then break the reaction, right? And show me that it actually wants to go higher. And of course, for the bearish situation, it will be if the market holds from that weekly and starts forming bearish order flow, then I would look to short it. So those are kind of the two things that I see potentially happening apart from a continuation of that massive range. Let's see. Nothing we can do right now. We just gotta wait to see which zone is gonna form, and the daily time frame is gonna be really key. I need to see the daily time frame to start popping, and currently we just don't have the daily on our side. And when you do that, well, pretty much that can already mean that this week might not be the week to be trading. Usually the best weeks are when you have daily zones forming and then you just have a very nice continuation of the weekly candles as well. Currently, we don't have absolutely anything, so we just gotta wait. That's USD JPY. Quickly checking Euro Yen, an overall consolidation week here at the bottom. It's probably gonna get a little bit indecisive right now because the USD JPY is also getting indecisive. We did form a weekly bearish imbalance, so can we get inside and then maybe look to short? That could be an idea. Going on to the daily time frame, we kind of had this daily zone as well here that the market is responding from, but it just has a weekly above. So I would prefer, for example, for the market to open, tap the weekly, and then look for a short. I like that there is nothing bullish on the daily to potentially kind of cause price to consolidate a little bit. And this one looks straight like Euro USD. We're having that quality bearish imbalance. So you can see if you want to trade Euro JPY right now, two things can happen. The market can either short from that quality zone immediately on market open, or it could fail it, get into the weekly, and then from there you have to wait for new bearish shifts to really evaluate and see whether that weekly zone is actually going to hold. So those are my two situations. I am more bearish definitely on Euro Yen, and also Euro USD also giving me that bearish vibe. If Euro USD actually ends up dropping, I think it could take Euro JPY very nicely bearish with it. So let's watch those two Euro pairs and see what happens. But also bearish bias here, it's definitely a lot more bearish. I don't see any bullish signs. So if you ask for my bias, it's to the downside. GJ looking pretty similar. We're having that weekly bearish imbalance here, and then if we drop to the daily time frame, we probably have well, yeah, GBP, the GBP is stronger than the euro. So if you're looking to short a GBP pair, you better look to short a euro pair. So you can see already this one does not have a daily bearish imbalance here. Euro JPY did it. Euro JPY is a little bit weaker going up. This one is a little bit stronger. So yeah, currently it also has like a very similar setup with that very recent hourly bearish shift, but I really need to see it confirmed, because again, it could very easily just come in to pop into the weekly imbalance. And then if it shifts, it's gonna be very nice. But of course, similar setup to Euro Yen. If it taps this, follows through, continues to break structure lower with imbalances, then I would also be looking for shorts on GJ. Although once again, I would much prefer to be shorting Euro JPY right now. It's the weaker pair and you would usually want to short the weaker one. Okay, so that's GJ, same situation, looking more bearish than bullish. I don't see any sort of bullish signs, so I'm gonna stick to the shorts. All right, time to check out futures. So ES has been trending higher this week, although it was extremely choppy. So if you're having the futures package from the CME, pretty much the futures package, and if you were looking at like the 50-minute and the 1-minute time frame, the candles were really gappy, really kind of drunk, gapped up, crazy bodies. It was very choppy. We're forming that weekly bullish imbalance, which is a very nice area for us to actually pull back and start getting into some longs. On the daily time frame, we had a daily bullish imbalance that was tapped. Friday pinged it and also took out once again new all-time highs. So currently, like, do we have something else to continue higher from? Not really. If the market doesn't expand higher right now and starts making new imbalances to then long from, then we could already start expecting a potential pullback, which I think is going to be pretty healthy because we have been trading higher for a very long time right now, and the market is really starting to lack in volume. So yeah, tapping into that daily, again, you can see a little continuation from that daily is that hourly zone here. So if that hourly zone fails and if we don't really see a pop going higher with new imbalances, right, then I would even expect a little bit of a pullback. So if we start breaking below, if we close below this low here with hourly bearish imbalances, I could already start forecasting a little bit of a pullback. I would hate to be the guy to be trying to forecast the top. So again, only if the market breaks below this low with a hourly bearish imbalance, only then I will be looking for something bearish. Okay, and simply because there is nothing else to stop it on the daily, the only zone on the daily was that one. This one is already tapped, it already did its job. There it is, it pulled back. NFP on Friday gave a very nice long, taking the liquidity. So right now the only zone to continue higher from is that hourly zone, and if that hourly zone fails, then I can kind of presume and forecast that the market would like to go on the weekly. Okay, so those are the two situations. We either continue higher from that hourly zone, or if we start pulling back lower, then we can get into some shorts. So that's ES. Let's see how NAS is looking like. Well, the tech stocks did quite amazing this week. You can already see by the weekly candle, it is a lot stronger than the one on ES, very nicely piercing through the all-time highs. We're also having a tiny bit of a weekly imbalance here. Now, again, is it realistic to expect for the market to pull back all the way down here? No. So do we have something on the daily? Well, sure we do. Like, NASDAQ was a lot stronger this week. I have been longing NASDAQ this week. I didn't trade ES. I mainly traded the NASDAQ this week, catching these longs here. And yeah, on Friday, there was a very nice trade. It developed during pretty much on NFP. And then I tried to take a long into the pretty much into the AM PM session of NASDAQ, but it ended up chopping me around. So I ended up closing for a little loss because it was just not going. At the end of the day, it actually did end up going. Yeah, I was long from here, but then it chopped, then it popped, then it pulled back, and I think I closed it somewhere here. So pretty much it looks a lot more bullish than ES. Are we going to form a new daily bullish imbalance here on Monday? That is going to be a very key question, because if we do, then we're going to have somewhere to continue higher from. Okay, but even if this one pulls back lower, it has like this daily, it has like to the left this sort of zone as well. So it's having a lot of support. And you can also use ES, because if ES also makes a pullback into the weekly and starts going higher, then usually NASDAQ is going to copy what ES does. Now here, if we just transition onto the hourly time frame, we also have a very nice hourly zone to work with here. There it is. It's also like a very nice kind of an order block here, not entirely, but if you just take it from the highs, the sell to buy, that is also a very nice supportive area. So if you pull back towards that zone, we can definitely keep looking for longs, provided of course it's gonna follow through. And again, the second scenario is if that hourly zone actually fails and we start getting lower, then we can start targeting that supportive level to the left and also that daily bullish imbalance. So those are my two potential scenarios. I'm definitely more bullish. It's just been going bullish. But when we're trading at all-time highs and when we're also trading right now in December, I'm going to be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more careful, right? Because we can just start pulling back right now anytime soon to create another weekly bullish imbalance potentially as well. So after such a massive bullish week, taking all-time highs, like for example here, this was a very massive bullish week, kind of taking all-time highs, and you can see the next week massively retraced. Not a lot of times when the market takes all-time highs, ends up massively continuing without some sort of a pullback. So let's see how it is. Again, I'm still long biased, but again, for indices, it's just very important for you to flow with them, to really read what is happening, to really read who is in control. So far, it's absolutely the buyers. So I am bullish bias until I'm proven otherwise by some bearish market structure. So what's really interesting right now is that YM actually formed a weekly bullish imbalance, aligning, for example, with this order block to the left, that last sell to buy. And we're also coming very nicely from this weekly bullish imbalance. And you can see the purpose of that week was to actually form that weekly bullish imbalance. And right now we're pretty much on the open of next week. We're going to be tapping into it. Okay. Together with that, we also have, for example, another confluence. There is also a little bit of a daily bullish imbalance resting here. So this whole region is a very big support area. And you can see this week we didn't do much because already YM was very strong. It already took all-time highs. It already made the push up. So for example, this week, NASDAQ and ES kind of caught up to it. And then this one consolidated. So right now, if this one taps into that weekly and daily imbalances, it could start offering a lot of support, which could very likely start maybe, all right, pushing also NASDAQ and ES to go higher. Now, currently, for example, you can see the forward time frame shifted a little bit. It's very interesting how YM always moves a little bit different. It's either behind or it's either forward to the ES and NQ. You can see this one actually gave us a shift bearish with a very nice forward bearish market structure shift with an imbalance. It tapped in, and actually on Friday, ES and NQ provided longs. This one provided shorts. So you can see the divergence. It's crazy. But it's forming that very big supportive region right now. So as it gets inside, I will just be looking for bullish market structure shifts with imbalances, something like this, to just tell me that the buyers are getting back in control, and then I'm going to start longing it. Okay. So currently, a very choppy week. Again, a lot of support. Let's see how it taps and let's see how it's going to react. But overall, of course, for indices, I'm definitely bullish bias on all of them right now. The bigger the consolidation, the bigger the expansion. So we had a consolidation here on for 7 weeks. So 7 weeks, we didn't really trend very nicely on DAX. And right now, just for 1 week, we pretty much broke out massively. So it didn't even provide any sort of entries. So maybe hopefully next week it could become a little bit cleaner. We're having that massive weekly breakaway gap, and then we dropped to the daily time frame. Look at the daily. Like, it's been how many days? It's been 6 consecutive candles just going bullish every single day, making a daily bullish imbalance. That is great, all right, but it's not so great when it's not pulling back into them, right? But every single day made an imbalance. That is, come on, that is quite crazy, all right? So right now we're having all of these zones to potentially look for longs. I would definitely love if this one kind of gives me some sort of a pullback, doesn't matter where, and then to potentially start trading it higher. Now, when it's expanding that much, you can, for example, let's take a look at this one here. It's expanded a lot, took some liquidity, and then you can even expect the whole week of a pullback. Now, am I calling a pullback? Maybe. Simply because it could also start preparing right now for a weekly bullish imbalance. Okay. There is the expansion candle, that is candle 2. There is your candle 1, there is your candle 2, and right now candle 3 is going to open and maybe like give us a little bit of a pullback. Let's imagine that this is a, for example, bearish body, and then of course we form that weekly bullish imbalance, then maybe into the next weeks or even into the next year, we're going to use that to potentially continue going higher. But still, I am absolutely going to be bullish biased if we pull back into any of these daily imbalances. But now, of course, you got to be careful because usually only the recent one is kind of relevant, because if that first one fails, that is going to start printing bearish order flow on the volatile time frame, and we might end up actually reversing as well. So DAX, it's very tricky right now. It's absolutely bullish, okay? But also I'm fearing that we might start having a little bit of a pullback. So you got to be extra careful when you're looking for longs. Make sure to wait for good confirmation. Make sure that the volatile time frame doesn't really turn bearish, because currently it's absolutely bullish. But if it starts like turning massively bearish and it doesn't really shift the order flow back to bullish, then you might be due for a pullback, okay? So make sure to observe that. And just to throw a little bit of a recap, now once again we're trading into December right now. The volumes have already dropped. We're having US CPI ahead of us. We're having a lot of monetary policy decisions as well for the euro, for the Aussie, for the Swiss franc, for another one I think we had. The key right now is to see whether the dollar is gonna start popping higher. Now, it's not giving me a lot of bullishness right now. However, Euro USD is tapping into weekly imbalance and starting to shift on the hourly time frame. GUS has been tapping inside that weekly for some time right now, although it failed to immediately reverse. But right now with EU starting to align, that could very well happen. AU and NU are also giving me short. So all of these major pairs are giving me short bias, which means that the dollar could potentially continue going higher. And of course, if it does, I think we can have some nice shorts this week on the major pairs. USD JPY, it's very stuck, so I would not trade JPYs right now, simply because USD JPY is stuck between a monthly and a weekly imbalance. So we really have to give it maybe even a week to see which one is actually gonna hold. EJ and GJ, definitely more short bias, simply because right now EU and GU could become a little bit weaker. You might look into those two. And indices, they're just super bullish. All of them are taking out all-time highs. Can we have a little bit of a pullback this week? That's likely as well. For example, if ES fails to continue higher, it might start pulling us back into the weekly. Nasdaq is a lot stronger. It's having a lot of these daily bullish imbalances to potentially work with. Is it going to make a new one as well? That's a very key question. While YM is already having a weekly bullish imbalance that is just going to tap on the new weekly open. And then if it also starts flipping higher, then ES and NQ could potentially follow very nicely bullish as well. So overall bullish on all the indices. DAX as well, massive expansion. Is it going to continue for one more bullish week, or is it going to start making a pullback? If I'm to bet, I would say a pullback is more likely, because when again the market has such a sustained push, it comes to an end, right? Especially when, for example, it takes liquidity. And this is what we're doing right now. But we've taken liquidity already like here on Monday, and we continue to push throughout the whole week. So next week, it's kind of logical to me for us to maybe form a little bit of a weekly bullish imbalance and maybe get a little bit of a pullback. But if we pull back into these daily levels and we start respecting them, I'm definitely going to try to go long. And by the way, gold, don't touch it. Wait for a daily breakout. So traders, that's for this outlook. I'm mainly going to be focusing here on the USDs, right? And also for longing on the indices. I'm definitely getting into a little bit more careful mode right now with trading, because the volumes have been dropping and the indecision is very big. Probably people are starting to go more into vacation mode and lowering the risk. So also make sure that you are performing as a professional as well, and not really kind of blow all of your progress into the last month. So that's from me. Any questions? Let me know down in the comments, and I'm going to talk to you in the next analysis.